Well, this went pretty freaking quick. Hello once again, watchers of Good TV. My name is Nick Pell, and this is once again coming from my white room. Now today I'm going to be talking about the Legend of Korra Book 3 Change. This is obviously the third season of Legend of Korra. It's made up of 13 different episodes, all about 20 minutes long, and I'm going to be talking about it. I will talk about the ending to the season towards the end of this review. I will tell you before I do that, just so that you are aware of that. One thing that made this season really chaotic is the fact that Nickelodeon decided to take the show off the air and put it just exclusively online. This was something which had a lot of people in an uproar until Comic-Con, when the creators of the show basically said we were not aware that this was a thing, and then Nickelodeon did a terrible job advertising the show when it first started season 3, and so it's just been a huge jumble of chaos for the good chunk of this season. But in terms of the show takes place a few weeks or months, I'm not exactly sure, after the events of Book 2. And at the end of Book 2, we had Korra open both portals, which allowed the physical world and the spirit world to intermingle. Spirits are now in the regular world, and they have something of an impact. At the beginning of the season, Korra is basically getting chewed out because all these spirits are causing problems, and they blame her for it, which is somewhat right to do, because she is the person who allowed this to happen. She is the one who wanted it to happen, and so she has to kind of deal with the consequences, and they're not exactly the nicest things. She gets kicked out of Republic City, but because she opened the portals, we have airbenders starting to appear all around the world, and so Tenzin is ecstatic about this because he can now rebuild the Air Nation, which is something that his father Aang, the last airbender before Korra, wanted to do, and that was what he had devoted his life to trying to do. So a good chunk of this season follows Team Avatar in mainly the Earth Kingdom, trying to locate airbenders to rebuild the Air Nation. And this is something which is hindered a large amount of the time by the Red Lotus and then also the Earth Queen. The Earth Queen is just a terrible human being, and she is nothing like her father. The Red Lotus is kind of the main threat of this season. It is comprised of 4 different benders, all very, very talented in their chosen bending styles. We have a waterbender who has no arms, but she is able to bend water, and so she has basically tentacles that she uses to fight with. We have an earthbender who is basically a lava bender, and he has just this unseen power, and it's something that Bolin has to kind of try to deal with. We have a firebender who has a third eye which she shoots fire beams out of. We saw this in the original series, but now we're seeing it again, and it's just still a huge threat, and so she has a lot of power. And then we have Zahir. He is the main villain of this season, and he acquires airbending. He is one of the people who acquires airbending as a result of Korra opening the portals, and he and his Red Lotus team have the goal, which is revealed about halfway through the season, of trying to kick out all the world's leaders and just create basically a socialist society where there are no leaders, everyone kind of helps each other, and the natural order of things takes place. And this is what they do for a good chunk of the season, is try to use the Avatar to do this, and that's what they are trying to do. They're trying to get to Korra, and it's kind of a back and forth way of that. That is more or less what this season is about. I'm not going to go into details because that would take way too long, but that is a good chunk of what this season is made up of. All the animation in this season looks gorgeous. They have one studio doing all of the artwork now, and it just looks great. All the characters look really well, the backgrounds look really well. Everything in this season looks really, really, really good, especially the bending and just the fights that take place. They're just beautifully animated, and they're just done in a superb fashion. The music in this show is also really good. I don't remember who the composer is, but he just is able to write these scores really well that fit the scenes perfectly. They draw emotion out of the characters when they need to. They instill action and dramatic tension during the fight scenes. And it's just really, really well done. That being said, the fight scenes, they are probably my favorite part of the season because they're the most action-packed in there where things actually happen. There are a number of them which happen either in the Earth Kingdom or in the Metal Clan or in the Air Temple or just wherever the fights take place. And they're all really, really nice looking. They are really exciting and climatic. They are a bit predictable towards the beginning because you know that the bad Red Lotus people are not going to get taken out right away. That'd be kind of boring if they did. So there's that level of prediction, but just seeing all these people are taking out, we see characters who we have not seen before duking it out, and that's really cool to see. My only real gripe with this season is the fact that it is a little bit slow. It's a lot slower than Book 2 was. With Book 2, they built up the suspense really a lot quicker because the threat began to emerge after the 2 beginnings episodes. We knew what we were fighting for and what Korra was going to have to fight against in the end. And that happened about halfway through, so the tension was there for a good chunk of the time. With Book 3, the tension isn't really there, for me at least it wasn't, until about the last 3 episodes when things really started to hit the fan. So that was my only real gripe with the season, is that it just kind of became a weekly routine. Just watch the episode, see what happens, and then hope that next week is a little bit better. The ending to Book 3, which I'm not going to talk about right now, but the ending to it really does set up Book 4 quite well. It has a lot of questions that will obviously be answered in terms of what Korra will be up to during that time and how things will proceed throughout the world. So, with that, I would definitely say, if you have not watched Book 3, every episode is available on Nickelodeon. Hopefully you have better connection than I did here, because I had a lot of pausing and starting and really bad quality sometimes, so that pissed me off a lot, but that wasn't the episode's fault. So definitely go check that out if you want to. If you have not heard of Legend of Korra, go watch it because it's a great show. I have the first 2 seasons on DVD and they're great. So with that, I'm going to talk about the last 3 episodes of Season 3, Book 3, Change, right now. So if you have not finished that season, probably don't watch this unless you want spoilers. So like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. I'd appreciate it very much immensely. Now, the third to last episode of Book 3 was probably the one where it got really, really intense. We had one episode which focused mainly on the air temple, and we got to see Tenzin duking it out with Zahir. Tenzin was phenomenal in that fight, and he almost won if Zahir's partners hadn't come in and tried to save his ass. Tenzin would have won that thing. And then the ending to that episode, where Tenzin is just getting the crap beat out of him by all 3 of them, it's just very suspenseful because it ends the episode with that, and we don't know if Tenzin's going to die. There are a lot of deaths in this season, which really surprised me, and that started with the Earth Queen, because Zahir, to start up his plan, he decides to assassinate the Earth Queen to start the rebellion and the elimination of all world leaders. And this was a scene which really shocked me and a lot of people, because in the first season, there wasn't really a huge alluding to deaths. There are people that got knocked out or taken out by fires or something, but we never really saw anyone die or at least be alluded to being killed. We saw it briefly at the end of Book 1 with the murder-suicide which happened, but we didn't really see anything like that in Book 2, and then we see it just very plainly as the Earth Queen is getting the life sucked out of her, basically. And then we see it continue in the finale as well, as the Red Lotus just keeps getting knocked out one by one. I'm skipping a little bit ahead here. Mako is able to electrify the waterbender, and that assumably kills her. We see the lava bender pulling down the cavern that the fight was taking place in, and so that's a thing. Also, Bolin learning how to lava bend, I thought that was a really cool thing to see, just because it's going to improve his character and give him a new skill. Because the metal bending arc that they had was kind of boring when he was consistently not able to do it, and then it kind of almost seems pointless now, just for the fact that metal bending was never the thing that he was going to do. But the last 2 episodes of the season are the most intense things in the world, because we see the finale. We see the Red Lotus go up against Team Avatar, and I wasn't sure how this was going to play out exactly. Next season is going to be the finale of Legend of Korra. It's Book 4, it's the end result, the end game. And so I had a feeling, obviously, everyone's going to survive. All the main cast is very likely going to survive. It's just a matter of what condition they will be in at the end. I'm going into the very finale episode, Venom of the Red Lotus, right now, so just know that. And we start out that episode with Korra being hung up by 2 chains, and she is poisoned. She assumably has some form of mercury put into her by the metal benders, and she has to essentially fight against the Avatar state, which is the only thing keeping her alive at this point, because mercury is going to poison the hell out of her and kill her. She ends up getting free, and it's just her versus Zahir, who can now fly, which is an interesting thing. I find it kind of interesting that Zahir, who just got his abilities like at this point, like maybe a month or two ago, has now surpassed Tenzin as one of the only airbenders who has been able to unlock the ability to fly. That seemed a tad unrealistic to me, just for the fact that he shouldn't be able to do that yet. But that's a sidetrack. So we have an epic battle going on between Korra and Zahir. We see Mako and Bolin taking out the lava and water person. So all those fights are great. They're very tension filled and all that type of stuff. Towards the end of it, we see Zahir. He gets captured, he's taken down, he's sent back to prison. But he also alludes to the fact that there are also Red Lotus people still in the world. There are also evil spirits in the world. Skipping back a little bit, when Korra was originally being poisoned and fending off the Avatar state, we got to see Amon, we got to see Rava, we got to see the main bad guy from Book 2, whose name I can't remember, and that was kind of a cool thing, because Korra was facing her deepest fears, and that fear being what the world would be like without the Avatar, without a need for the Avatar, and that was something which terrified her. But we have Zahir taken down, he's enchained, and Korra is incredibly weakened, even 2 weeks after the events, by the poison that was in her system. It gets taken out, and she is fine, but she is so weak, she is in a wheelchair, and she can't really do anything. She can't do her duty as the Avatar at this point. We get to see Jinora made an Air Master by her father, Tenzin, and that ceremony is really cool because that was something that Jinora was pushing for a good chunk of the season, just to be made recognized that she is just as strong and skilled as her father is, and that's something that Tenzin finally comes to agree with, and it was kind of a cool thing. But the last scene of Korra in the season, when she is overlooking this, we have Tenzin saying that the airbender is going to restore peace and balance, and we see Korra we have a tear coming down her face, and that scene just continues to speak to the fact that she is partly still scared that she cannot do her duty, and she's sad by this, but it may also be the fact that she is happy that she doesn't have to deal with that alone, that there are other people who can attempt to do her job for her and maintain the peace while she is recovering. Now, for Book 4, with all these events taking place, it's really hard to say what is going to happen. We don't know if Korra is going to be fully recovered at the very first episode of Book 4, or if she will never recover, if she will always be weakened by the poison that the Red Lotus did, because I feel like there has to be some sort of climax which is going to happen in Book 4, because it just seems like all these events are going to be leading up to something, with the portals being open and the Red Lotus agents being out there in the world. Something is going to happen. Season 4 is going to take place in the Fire Nation, from my understanding. I have no idea when it's going to be released. I would assume it will be released in probably spring of 2015. That's my guess. I don't know, obviously. But I'm very much looking forward to Book 4, which will be, again, the conclusion to Legend of Korra. And I'm sure it will be phenomenal. So, that is my review of Book 3, Change. I very much enjoyed it for the most part. It was a little bit slow, like I mentioned before, with the whole gathering the airbenders thing and not a whole lot of action happening consistently. But as a whole, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought the characters were all interesting, and it was gorgeously animated, very well orchestrated, and just a really cool season. So, that's my thoughts. Leave yours in the comments down below. Did you like Book 3 Change more than I did? Did you despise it more than I did? Let me know. Like, fair, comment, and subscribe, once again, if you so choose. I appreciate it immensely. And as always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on watching.